Hello, I hope you're enjoying a good and meaningful Jewish New Year. Unfortunately, due to technical issues, our Yom Kippur memorial service was not recorded from the Zoom live stream, so I'm re-recording the message I shared with our congregation at the time of that service. What is a good death? There is no one answer, though many of us might choose something similar. It should be fast, but not so fast that I cannot say goodbye. I want to be fully aware of what is going on and to be able to make decisions, but there should be no pain. I may even go in my sleep. We know that we cannot choose every detail and process, but we can always hope, and sometimes we can plan. And yet, even though it is a Jewish cliché, we really need to answer this question with another question. A good death for whom? For the person dying, who is worried about pain and dementia and dignity? Or for the survivors, family and friends, for whom a fast death may not be a good death? Someone may not wake up in the morning, but without any warning or steep decline, the survivors may feel shock, anger, a deep feeling of loss, with no chance to say goodbye when they could hear us and respond. A gradual fade and disconnection has its own challenges, but it does give us days and even weeks to prepare for the loss. On the other hand, if we want to remember the good times, our loved ones at their best, a long decline can crowd out those good memories with months and even years of accidents, confusion, and forgetfulness. We know that death is inevitable, that we will lose our loved ones before we ourselves go. Even though we know this reality, we do a poor job of preparing for it. After all, Americans are generally bad at planning for retirement, and most of us look forward to that. This lack of preparation for death and loss becomes obvious when we are forced to deal with it. Have we said what we needed to say? Have we planned what needed planning and let go of that which did not? In the Hebrew Bible, on his deathbed, Jacob gives a farewell address to his 12 sons. Moses gives a last address to the Hebrew people before his death. In the Middle Ages, Jewish ethical wills became an important way to pass on life lessons to the next generation. The oldest surviving example of a Jewish ethical will is almost 1,000 years old. Ethical wills were generally written as private letters to family or to close disciples. They were not meant for publication. Some included reviews of the events in one's lifetime, while others focused on how to live a good and meaningful life. Written in a religious age, the recommendations regarding piety and purity may not speak to us. Just as we have adjusted the marriage ketubah to reflect our values and feelings, our ethical wills can reflect what we define as the good, the true, a bequest of wisdom that we would leave behind. Such a legacy will also help our family remember the good. It is hard to predict what we will remember about a loved one after they are gone. Sometimes our memories are not positive, just like life experience is not always positive. The people we love and loved are not saints. They do not become saints after they die. Maybe they had a temper. Maybe their humor could be cruel. Maybe they were overly critical, or they had difficulty expressing their love. Maybe they were indifferent to our needs and focused on themselves. We do not choose our family, so we do not choose what will be most memorable about them. If we have a choice, if we consciously want to bring them to mind, we can try to focus on the good. It may be physical details or special moments and milestones. It could be activities they loved or their favorite sports team. It could be objects they valued, from the precious to the mundane. Many of you know that several years ago, my father died the day before Rosh Hashanah evening, so the season always brings back memories. He had written a memoir and a collection of biographical essays, and I have a few copies of each volume on my shelves. Vanity Press and extra books equals book estate to come. But those memoirs, those essays, were not the most memorable inheritance I received. After he died, I did claim 2 of my father's favorite T-shirts, which I think summed up his ethical will in 2 phrases even better than his writing. One, in Spanish, said, "Vivir bien es la mejor venganza." Living well is the best revenge. The more we get the most out of life, the less we regret when it is over. And he certainly lived with elan and gusto. The second, in Hebrew, said, "Echol ushtu ki machar namut." Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. This life is the only life we know, and it makes it all the more precious. I was particularly happy with the Hebrew T-shirt because it stemmed from a class that I had taught that he attended on the Book of Kings, I believe, where it described how the fool would say in their heart, "Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die." And I thought, what a wonderful T-shirt for a humanistic Jew. And so that's how it came to be. That's how I want to remember him, living life with gusto and living this life to the fullest. And those objects, those T-shirts, helped me remember the good every time that I wore them, until they became more holy than holy, and they went off to the fabric recycling center in the sky. They are now a memory, as he too is a memory. Israeli poet Leah Goldberg knew the wisdom of remembering the good in her beautiful poem, Remembrance of the Beginnings of Things, which I will use to conclude this message. And you may consider, what are the memories that your posterity will cherish from you? Remembrance of the Beginnings of Things by Leah Goldberg. We shall remember the wheat stalk and the greenness of her youth, the time she stood erect with head to heaven. Thin was her blade, but straight and proud, and now bent is her head to the ground, for heavy is the gold of her ripeness, the crown of her full pregnancy. Beautiful are her seasons. We shall remember the tree in the middle of his spring. His blossoms were white and pink. Trembling sunbeams glimmered in him on the branch, and the sweet resin dropped to earth like the bride's tears on the day of her heart's joy. Now he stands in the abundance of his apples, carrying his beautiful burden motionless, knowing the spring of things to come. We shall surely remember these things in the change of the year's circuit, and in the passage of day and night, how the moon was fragile and very full, then round and died, yet its youth would be renewed. We shall surely remember the beginning of our love, when she was tremulous as a fawn, a beautiful doe lowering her eyes, and there she has become fully grown, with her open face and her deep voice. Beautiful are her seasons. I again wish you a Shana Tova, a happy and healthy and meaningful New Year.